What's up, guys? So I'm getting ready to build some transfer cases for the Evo 456 platform. There really isn't a whole lot out there as far as transfer cases that are stock configuration that are quote unquote built. So I'm going to be doing a run of 5 cases initially just to see if there's interest. I have them anyway. I have about 10 or 11 on hand, the LSD 456 cases. And so what I'm going to be doing is some cryo treating of the gears and the LSD. I'm going to be machining the LSD for larger fasteners to get away from that panhead shaped fastener that's in there. I'm actually going to be machining the LSD half, basically the lid, out to accommodate a 12.9 hex head fastener with a shoulder on it, like where the 789 LSDs have that fastener. I'm going to be upgrading the case to M10 fasteners from the M8s that are in there. New seals. The T cases are going to be cleaned up. They're going to be vapor blasted. Yeah, and then they're going to be, I'm not going to re-shim them. I know that's a big thing that's done on the 789 side, but I'm not convinced. I mean, I guess that's up for debate. On the high power cars on the 789 side, I guess it makes a difference for a tighter gear engagement, but I've never seen a 456 ring gear fail. And I'm not gonna sit here and tell you guys it hasn't happened, but I've probably had, over the last 10 years, I've had 100 transfer cases come through my shop. I've never seen a ring gear failure. So to go and re-shim them tighter and to create more wear and more noise, I don't know if that's the solution. That ring and pinion in those transfer cases is fairly strong. There's other failures that happen. That LSD case fails a lot, and that's from the case flexing, that's from the fastener stretching. There's a bunch of stuff in there. And going and cryo treating and hardening those worm type gears within the LSD and the case itself is going to assist in the longevity of that case. Basically, I've had one case in a 650-ish horsepower Evo 5 for a few years now, so I'm pretty confident in the mods that I'm going to be performing on these cases. So just to show you guys what I got laid out here, I'm just going through the cases that I have. I'm kind of picking the best ones. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 laid out here. And I did have about 10 laid out here, and I'm just going through them and trying to figure out which ones are the best, which ones have initially the cleanest cases, the best looking LSDs, the input tubes, all that sort of stuff. And yeah, I'm going to go from there. With race parts, you can't really guarantee them. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that these are going to withstand everything you can throw at them. I'm not going to tell you that. It's how you drive your car. But like I said, I've had a similar case in a 600 plus horsepower, wheel horsepower car, Evo 5, for a few years now, and it doesn't have any signs of giving up. It's torn down every year for wear, taking a look at how it's wearing, and it's not giving up. So I am confident that this is going to be able to handle a lot of power. And hey, the alternative for these 456 cars is going to that bigger non-ACD case that's in the 789, going to a aftermarket LSD, a aftermarket custom subframe, cutting down the drive shaft. Like, we're talking about some big dollar mods to do that jump. So this is a stock case that's going to handle, I'm hoping up to 700. That's what I'm going to be putting in my car that I am building. It's going to be a 700 horsepower E85 powered Evo 5. A couple weeks here, and then tearing down all these cases, sending them parts for cryo treating, as well as the axle stubs, and going from there. So these will either sell or they won't. If they don't, that's okay. I have these here anyway, and so I can just keep them in my shop. But we'll see if anybody has any interest. I'll have a core charge sort of system going as well, because I will need some fresh cases to go through, and yeah, so we'll see how that goes. This will just be one step at a time. I'm not doing this to make a whole ton of money. I'm doing this because I have the parts, and currently all of this stuff is just sitting here, and I don't think I need 10 or 11 transfer cases, but so I may as well build 5 or 6 of them and see if I can help some people out. So all right, guys, so I'm way into the transfer cases now, and there's no turning back. They're all torn down, well, almost all torn down. But yeah, so I'm going to show you guys a few items that are interesting. This is some kind of nerd transfer case tech. So all of these have been pulled apart. The pinion side is still in. The LSD core, as well as the ring gear and the diff casing, is all pulled out. I've also gone through all the seals, see if anything's damaged, and the ones that are damaged are going to be replaced. Now, in the mix of all of these, here's all the ring gear fasteners that have to be cleaned. In the midst of all this, we have a TME one, just here on the end, and it might be worth just taking a quick look at some of the differences here. So looking at the TME core, which is here, some pretty interesting stuff. Now, the core itself is a Evo 7 LSD core, which is in the 456 case. Now this is the regular Evo 456 LSD core, and now if you look at these side by side, it is very hard to tell, but this one is about 2 millimeters bigger, and as well, rather than having this style of fastener, which is an angled sort of pan head, right, like that, it has this style of fastener with a hard shoulder on it, okay, which is a lot better for clamping force. So you can see right here, quite a difference. And so now, normally on the harder 12.9s, they have a stamp right on them that says 12.9. So in just looking at all these LSD cores, does not seem that any of them have been upgraded. So the plan is not only to upgrade to a 12.9, but I also want to upgrade to fastener with a hard shoulder on it, so that we can have a lot more clamping force and keep these LSDs together. So that's gonna take some machining to the top part of the case to allow for that fastener to be used. All right, after doing a bunch of fairly simple math here, so what we've arrived at is that we're going to be moving from this type of fastener, this type of fastener to this type of fastener. After measuring a bunch of spots on the lid of the LSD, the amount of material that's available is the same. So the 456 LSD can accommodate the same fastener as the 789 LSD core. So I'm just double checking all this. This is not something that I've come up with. This was a rally trick that was done 20 plus years ago. I'm not the originator of this. And when I was racing Time Attack years ago, I did pay to have a LSD core prepped in this manner because I didn't have the time to machine everything. So now that I have more time, I'm not racing Time Attack anymore. I have a bit more time to do hobby sort of things. So, but because of that, I want to double check everything. And so what I've arrived at is the material that's available in the heavier diffs still exists on the 456 diffs. So it should be able to accommodate the same amount of load based on the just the sheer size of the material available. So I'm not going to over machine anything. I'm not going to create a situation where I'm going to weaken the part. So that was my concern. So all the measurements I've done just confirms that. And so we're going to start machining all these LSDs. All right, so I milled out one hole so far. I could say that the material that these diffs are made of is really hard, and it's very hard on tooling. So you got to be very careful and go really slow. Be mindful of heat. So you guys can see what's going on. Okay, changed from a pan head sort of bevel seat to a hole with a shoulder on it. So what that accommodates is these guys here. All right, simple as that. So I got to do, well, 4 times 7, 28 of these holes. All right, guys, so where are we at with the LSD conversion? So keeping in mind that there's 7 of these cases that I'm doing kind of at once, it's taking a bit of time because every modification I have to do 7 times. So I've kind of just organized things so that I can keep track of all the parts. And so where I'm at is I'm just delving into the LSDs here, and the machining of the top lid is done. So all of the tops of the LSDs have been machined to accommodate that heavier 12.9 hardened fastener. And so the more important part is that you have to leave some tolerance because there's a ring that goes over top here, but it's a balance between leaving enough material on the LSD to allow for some good clamping force to keep these LSDs together and happy. So all that's been done, all that machining's been done. Now as well on the cases, all the cases which are all under here, the cases have been converted over to those M10 fasteners for the lids. Now keep in mind those transfer case lids are actually what the LSD case, for lack of a better term, rides on, but that's also what supports that ring gear. So an important feature there is that you don't want the ring gear to deflect in any way against that pinion. What that's going to cause is a loss of engagement of the ring and pinion teeth, and it'll make a potential for more likely failure. It will also cause a lot more heat because the engagement will be on a smaller amount of material. So for that, these M10 12.9 metric fasteners are important. Going over to this case, so all of these have to be individually drilled and tapped so that they can engage the case halves. Some of these holes are not the easiest to work with because they're blind, so they do dead end in the case, so you got to be a little bit cautious about the depth and how much material you're taking away. And yeah, so this 12.9 is going to create a situation where this lid, for lack of a better term, LSD half, transfer case half, whatever you want to call it, can have a bit more support because it's just not going to move. Now, originally Mitsubishi went with the M8 fastener, and that's just very small. And so with the M10s, that's going to add a lot of strength to that case. And okay, so that's where I'm at. So next step here, since the LSDs have been machined, the cases have been dealt with bigger M10 fasteners. Next, I'm going to be disassembling all the LSDs, going through all the gears individually, making sure there's no damage, and then cataloging all this stuff for cryo treating. All right, so continuing on. All right, guys, working away on these diffs. I've almost got everything gathered up for cryo treating. So this is what I have for cryo treating. So going over some of the things that break on these diffs. So stub shafts, these guys are going to get cryo treated. What happens is they tend to twist just beyond this area right here where there's a relief for the C-clip. That's what holds the stub shaft into the LSD and as well into the axle. So these are getting cryo treated. I'm cryo treating 8 sets here. Now on the diffs themselves, the concerns are a few. So one concern is the case itself. So the LSD case itself at the end. So I'm going to be cryo treating the case and the gears as well that go inside. And the other ones that have some issues are the dog bone type gears. So these guys right here. So these tend to basically the corner of the gear shears off and makes a big mess in the diff. So I'm cryo treating these as well. Okay, now the cases, the case lid, for lack of a better term, which has already been machined for the bigger fasteners, I'm going to be cryo treating that as well. So the entire LSD is going to be cryo treated, and the case itself will be modified so that you can use stronger fasteners with a bigger head, and I'll be able to tighten these LSDs down a lot tighter. Alright, so I'm going to be sending all that stuff in for cryo treating. It's going to take a bit of time for the company to finish that up. And then it's going to be cleaning and assembly on 7 transfer cases. Alright, so thanks for following along in my videos. If you haven't already subscribed, make sure you subscribe to this channel and hit that bell so that you're notified when I put up new videos. As well, come visit me on Instagram at Wrench Rampage. And yeah, the next video you'll see is a bit of assembly on the transfer cases and getting everything ready to hopefully go back in the car and hold more power. All right, have a good night.